From the very first moment, the power of the story is built on concealment. Everything appears normal on the surface, a rigid military environment, a general issuing orders with unquestioned authority, soldiers conditioned to obey without hesitation. The command, "Stand down," echoes with the weight of rank, history, and institutional power. In any conventional setting, that would be the end of the conflict. But this story deliberately undermines that expectation by slowly revealing that the visible chain of command is not the real one. The true authority is hidden, embedded quietly in a figure no one initially suspects. The woman at the center of the story does not announce her power. She does not interrupt, argue, or posture for dominance. Instead, her control exists beneath the noise, rooted in classified clearance, covert directives, and decisions made far above the general's level. This contrast between what everyone sees and what actually governs the situation creates immediate narrative tension. Readers are drawn in because they sense that something is off. Orders are being given, but the room does not move the way it should. The delay, the hesitation, the subtle shifts in body language all hint that authority is not where it appears to be. The reveal of hidden authority is effective because it respects realism within military fiction. True power in such environments often lies in black files, sealed orders, and special jurisdiction rather than loud commands. When it becomes clear that her silence is not weakness but restraint, the story flips instantly. The general's authority collapses not through rebellion but through legitimacy. His command is overridden, not challenged. This distinction is crucial. It preserves the seriousness of the military setting while delivering a shocking reversal. Emotionally, this reveal is deeply satisfying. The reader experiences the same disbelief as the characters when the truth surfaces. The general, accustomed to unquestioned obedience, is forced to confront a reality where rank alone is insufficient. Meanwhile, the woman's control feels earned rather than theatrical. She did not seize power in the moment, she already had it. The moment simply exposes what was always true. This narrative device also reinforces themes of intelligence over ego and substance over symbolism. Loud authority fails, while quiet authority prevails. The hidden command structure rewards preparation, discipline, and trust from higher levels. By the time her control is acknowledged, the story has already proven why she was chosen for that role. The reveal does not feel like a trick, it feels inevitable. Ultimately, the hidden authority reveal is the spine of the story. It transforms a simple confrontation into a memorable power reversal, turning a shouted order into a hollow echo. The reader is left with a clear message. Real command does not always announce itself, but when it does surface, everything else must stand down. The tension in the story intensifies because the conflict does not come from an external enemy, but from within the military structure itself. A power struggle inside a rigid hierarchy is far more dangerous than open combat because it threatens order, discipline, and unity. The general represents the visible peak of authority, a figure shaped by decades of service, accustomed to issuing commands that move entire battalions. His confidence is not arrogance alone, it is reinforced by a system that has always worked in his favor. When that system begins to resist him, even subtly, the unease is immediate. What makes this struggle compelling is that it unfolds in silence before it ever becomes explicit. No one openly challenges the general at first. Soldiers exchange glances, officers hesitate, radios remain unanswered for half a second too long. These micro-moments signal that the chain of command is fractured. The general senses it, and that realization fuels his anger. His raised voice is not just an order, it is an attempt to reassert dominance over a situation slipping beyond his control. On the other side of this struggle stands the woman, calm and measured, embodying a different kind of authority. She does not seek confrontation. In fact, her restraint makes the clash more intense. While the general relies on rank and volume, she relies on jurisdiction and legitimacy. The story carefully contrasts these two forms of power, one built on tradition and visibility, the other on necessity and trust from unseen command structures. This contrast elevates the conflict from a personal dispute to an institutional one. The military power struggle also exposes the fragility of ego within hierarchical systems. The general's authority is real, but conditional. It depends on context, mission scope, and authorization. When those boundaries are crossed, rank alone becomes insufficient. His refusal to immediately recognize this exposes a flaw, an inability to accept that command can be situational. The woman's presence challenges not just his control of the operation, but his identity as the highest authority in the room. As the struggle escalates, the risk becomes clear. A single wrong move could lead to disobedience, court-martial, or catastrophic mission failure. This raises the stakes far beyond pride. Every second of hesitation threatens lives and outcomes. The story thrives in this space of uncertainty, where obedience and judgment collide. The reader feels the pressure because the characters do. This is not a safe argument, it is a dangerous one. When the balance finally shifts, it does not feel like a victory over the general, but a correction of the hierarchy. The system reasserts itself through the woman's command, restoring order rather than breaking it. The power struggle ends not in chaos, but in clarity. Authority finds its proper place, and the mission moves forward. Through this internal conflict, the story demonstrates that true strength in military leadership is not about dominating others, but about knowing when to yield to a higher purpose. The struggle reveals that command is not absolute, it is contextual, earned, and ultimately accountable to something greater than any single rank. From the outset, the woman is framed as someone easy to overlook. She does not fit the loud, imposing image traditionally associated with command, especially in a high-pressure military environment dominated by rank insignia and hardened voices. Her posture is composed rather than aggressive, her expressions controlled, her presence quiet. This deliberate understatement feeds into the assumptions of those around her. They see her as support staff, an observer, or at best, a secondary authority. The story uses these assumptions as a trap, allowing both characters and readers to underestimate her in the same way. This underestimation is not accidental, it is systemic. Years of rigid traditions, unconscious bias, and visual cues shape expectations of leadership. The general, in particular, embodies this mindset. He assesses authority by what he can see: uniform markings, age, confidence projected through volume. Because she does not perform dominance in the expected way, he does not register her as a threat to his command. This blind spot becomes his greatest weakness. What makes her character compelling is that she never attempts to correct these assumptions prematurely. She understands the power of patience. Rather than demanding recognition, she allows events to unfold until her authority becomes unavoidable. This restraint signals confidence rather than insecurity. She knows that real power does not require constant validation. By staying silent while being underestimated, she controls the tempo of the confrontation. The story carefully builds her credibility through subtle details rather than grand speeches. Her awareness of operational specifics, her calm response to escalating tension, and her ability to anticipate consequences all hint at deep experience. When she speaks, it is precise and purposeful. Every word carries weight because she has not wasted any. This economy of language reinforces the idea that she is accustomed to being listened to, just not by everyone. The moment her authority is revealed, the underestimation collapses instantly. The shift is dramatic not because she changes, but because everyone else's perception does. The same calm demeanor that once read as passivity is reinterpreted as control. Her silence becomes evidence of discipline. The room recalibrates around her, and the general is forced to confront how thoroughly he misjudged her. This reversal delivers emotional impact because it validates a quiet strength often ignored in leadership narratives. The story does not portray her as needing to prove herself through aggression. Instead, her competence speaks for itself once the proper context is revealed. The power of the moment lies in recognition, not confrontation. By positioning her as underestimated until the critical moment, the story taps into a universal theme: the danger of equating authority with appearance. Her character stands as a reminder that the most decisive leaders are not always the most visible. In a world governed by noise and dominance, her command emerges from certainty, preparation, and legitimacy. When her authority finally surfaces, it feels not like a surprise, but like the truth finally catching up with reality. The story's tension reaches its peak in the moment of defiance, when the general yells, "Stand down!" This is not just an isolated command, it is a representation of the expectations of absolute obedience within military hierarchy. Every soldier in the room is conditioned to respond immediately, without hesitation or question. Yet the woman's reaction, or deliberate lack thereof, creates a seismic shift in the dynamics of authority. This defiance is subtle, controlled, and deliberate, but it carries the full weight of command because it is grounded in legitimacy. The contrast between the general's shouted command and her silent, resolute control is what makes this moment so dramatically powerful. The tension is heightened by the psychological impact on everyone present. The soldiers, conditioned to respond to loud authority, feel confusion and uncertainty. Their instinct is to obey the voice that has always commanded them, yet their training and the invisible legitimacy of the woman's authority pull them in a different direction. This internal conflict among the ranks mirrors the broader struggle between appearances and reality. The general's authority is real but conditional. Hers is quiet, yet absolute within the mission's parameters. This creates a dissonance that keeps the audience engaged, holding them on edge until the moment of realization. Her defiance also operates on a narrative level, emphasizing the story's themes of control, restraint, and intelligence. Unlike a typical confrontation where power is asserted through noise or aggression, she does not need to raise her voice, brandish credentials, or physically intervene. Her authority is recognized by those who understand the broader structure, the unseen directives, and the operational context. This approach underlines the idea that true command is rooted in understanding, preparation, and legitimacy, rather than mere volume or ego. The stark contrast between the general's overt assertiveness and her quiet, calculated defiance amplifies the drama, making the revelation of her control deeply satisfying. Furthermore, this moment serves as an emotional pivot in the story. The general's shock and frustration are palpable, yet they are tempered by the realization that his command is not absolute. The woman's ability to hold the room without confrontation demonstrates mastery not just of authority, but of influence. The tension that has been building, the hesitation in the ranks, the subtle body language, the shifting glances, culminates in this moment where her power is undeniable. It is the story's climax, and it delivers both surprise and resolution, giving the audience a sense of closure while reinforcing the stakes and the hierarchy reversal. Finally, the scene underscores the importance of presence and timing in leadership. Her defiance is not reckless, it is precise, calculated, and perfectly timed to reveal the truth of the command structure. By holding firm when everyone expects submission, she demonstrates that authority is not about dominance alone, but about knowing when and how to exercise power effectively. This moment resonates because it combines strategic intelligence, emotional control, and the shock of an unexpected power reversal, making it a memorable and defining point in the narrative. The story's dramatic structure and narrative style make it exceptionally cinematic and ideal for viral storytelling, particularly in short-form formats like YouTube videos, social media reels, or narrated stories. From the very first word, the title itself acts as a hook. The general yelled, "Stand down," but she was the one actually in command. It immediately creates curiosity, tension, and a sense of shock. The audience is drawn in by the implied power reversal, eager to discover how someone presumed subordinate could hold ultimate authority. This type of storytelling is highly effective because it leverages suspense, surprise, and the innate human fascination with unexpected triumphs. The narrative unfolds like a high-stakes scene in a military drama, with precise pacing that emphasizes tension and revelation. Each beat, the general's shouted command, the soldier's hesitation, the protagonist's calm restraint, functions almost like visual cues in a cinematic sequence. The story's rhythm keeps the audience on edge, building anticipation for the moment when the hidden authority is revealed. By holding the plot around this pivotal reveal, the story maximizes emotional impact. Every action, glance, and pause contributes to the rising tension, culminating in a payoff that is both satisfying and memorable. This cinematic quality is enhanced by the contrast between appearances and reality. The audience, like the characters in the story, is led to assume that the loudest, most visible authority is in control. The eventual revelation subverts these expectations, creating a dramatic aha moment that resonates strongly in visual and auditory storytelling formats. This type of narrative is particularly effective in viral content because it elicits strong emotional responses, shock, admiration, and satisfaction, which are key drivers of engagement, shares, and repeat viewing. Additionally, the narrative leverages universal themes that appeal to a wide audience. The reversal of authority, the triumph of intelligence over ego, and the idea of an underestimated individual claiming their rightful position are concepts that resonate across cultures and demographics. By focusing on these themes within a military setting, the story achieves a balance between relatability and spectacle. The audience does not need to be familiar with military procedures to appreciate the tension, the stakes, and the ultimate resolution. Finally, the narrative style emphasizes economy of language and imagery, which is essential for viral storytelling. Every sentence and detail serves a purpose, building tension, foreshadowing the twist, or highlighting character dynamics. The general's shout, the protagonist's silence, the soldier's subtle reactions, all these elements work together like shots in a film, creating a vivid mental picture for the audience. This precision makes the story highly adaptable for narration, animation, or dramatization, ensuring that the twist has maximum impact. The story's cinematic, viral-ready style is what makes it not just entertaining, but unforgettable, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who experiences it.